Let's speak now to Dr. Shany Mor, former policy director at the Israeli National Security Council. Thanks for coming on the programme.
Thank you for having me.
There's a couple of different strands here. Clearly, the nuclear issue with Iran, with events in Lebanon too. Let's start with the nuclear issue. Do you share Donald Trump's confidence that Iran will never get a nuclear weapon as a result of this deal?
I don't know. Unlike Donald Trump, I haven't seen the text of this deal, so it's very hard for me to speculate. The deal itself, the little we know about it, we haven't seen the text yet, is a framework for a 60-day negotiation process. Probably will take more than 60 days. It's allowed to be extended by mutual agreement. And that negotiating process will have an agreement between the U.S. and Iran on the limitations on its nuclear program. If they reach a deal, we'd have to assess whether that deal is a good one or a bad one. But it's quite premature right now.
OK, and let's move to another potential sticking point, which is Lebanon, Israel's military activities in the south of that country. And there seems to be a conflict here between Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump. How significant do you think it is?
I don't think it'll be significant in reaching the agreement between the U.S. and Iran, because neither of those two countries will want to put it at risk for something that's on the side. The historical irony here, of course, is that Iran has invested something like 40 years in building a deterrent in Lebanon that was supposed to protect it from Israeli aerial strikes. And what's happened twice now in the last 2 years, 4 times really in the last 3 years, is that Iranian skies have been completely open to the Israeli Air Force. And it's Iran now that is attempting to use its offensive power to deter any kind of attacks on Hezbollah. Ultimately, Iran's not going to risk the agreement with the U.S. that it's reached because of its client that hasn't actually served it very well in the current war.
I see. Does that therefore lead on from that you think the personal relationship between the Prime Minister of Israel and the US President is overstated in its significance?
That I can't really say. Donald Trump does everything on personal relationships, and he's a mercurial personality himself. If he's soured on the Israeli prime minister or for one reason or another, I imagine that wouldn't just be for show. That would have real consequences. On the other hand, both Trump and Netanyahu are facing domestic politics much more than anything else right now as the U.S. begins its midterm election season. And Israel, too, is heading to an election that'll be no later than October this year.
Yeah, given those elections coming up, we heard Benjamin Netanyahu yesterday defending the course of the war, saying that his outcomes, as he defined them, have been successfully met. Do you agree?
I agree only very partially. I think the argument he was making yesterday sounds logical on its own, but it has a larger context that empties it of a lot of its content. The argument he made yesterday was this: even if we didn't reach a decisive outcome, we still actually did so much damage to the Iranian nuclear program, the Iranian ballistic missile program, and Iran's regional network of proxies that we can be satisfied with a less than decisive victory because we've, won on points. The problem with that claim is not that it's not true. It's that if this U.S.-Iranian deal goes forward, and if those two sides do reach a comprehensive agreement in 60 days, it will flood Iran with sanctions relief and unfreezing of assets. So even the damage that Netanyahu is pointing to as success or as partial success would, in such a circumstance, be undone rather quickly. If, on the other hand, the U.S. and Iran don't reach a comprehensive deal and there ends up being some kind of stalemate, then the argument that he's making yesterday is basically a sound one. It's less than an optimal outcome for Israel, but it certainly set the Iranians back a lot. That doesn't seem to be the direction we're headed in right now, though.
Dr. Shany Mor, thank you very much for coming on the programme. Thank you.